This is the Empress Evolution.
So welcome everybody. I am so honored to have you here. I have to say, God told me to assemble the wisest minds on the planet, and I believe specifically that the four of you, which is Laura, ladies first, young Pharaoh, Simon Parks, and Tony X, along with my wonderful friends June and Preston to help me with the project. But I'm just honored, and I've just said that with this, it's not so much about entertainment. We're not trying to entertain the masses. We're actually trying to solve the problems today, guys. We're actually trying to put these great minds together to say, how do we fix what's going on Earth right now? And then afterwards, I'll send you all copies, and you can all upload it if you like. And I would love the rest of the world to see this. But right now, I want us to focus on building bonds, because again, Laura and Simon have had some mutual connections. Pharaoh and Tony have had some mutual connections, but now is the time for those bonds to get stronger, and then to actually start the bonds between Simon and Pharaoh, Simon and Tony, Laura with Pharaoh, Laura with Tony, and so on. So I guess I'm going to hand to Simon, because again, I am in awe of Simon. I have to say, guys, I've been following his work since 2009. Most of what I know, I learned from him. And so I'm going to hand to Simon just to say, I think, what would you say is the best way for us to move forward in actually coming up with solutions today and making the most of the great minds that are present?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. It's lovely to see everyone. I think probably the best bet really would be for each person to put forward what he or she thinks would be a good solution, or the topic that they would like to speak on. The problems facing the planet and humanity at the moment are really varied, and I don't think one person has, the answers for all of that, but maybe together we can bring up a plan. What would be perhaps helpful would be to give some sort of hope to those people listening. There is such a lot of rubbish, trash, lies out there, and it's really taking people's focus away from their own development. So maybe we can sort of talk about how we can all reconnect and get people back to reconnect. So that's Absolutely. Really what I just think is important at the moment.
And maybe we could start with an actual formal intro, just your name and a little bit about your background and your achievements, so everyone can be familiar with who's here. Do you want to start, Laura?
Sure, I'll start. So my name is Laura Magdalene Eisenhower, and I've been an international speaker for the last 10 years. I am a researcher. I am, I guess you could say, an experiencer. That's sort of what first got me out in the public scene, is talking about a Mars recruitment I went through in 2006. And it's just been sort of a very eye-opening lifetime, starting from when I was a child. I was being downloaded my mission, and it really had to do with this particular window period. And so I've studied a lot of galactic history. I work with, the zodiac, galactic zodiac, and medical astrology to help people sort of tune up and awaken dormant aspects of themselves, to, get to know their own unique nature, and then move into that 0-point unified field. So yeah, I'm just a researcher, experiencer, connecting dots and paying attention to what whistleblowers have to say, and other people throughout the years, like you, Simon. And it's really great to meet everybody else, and I really appreciate being here. And if you want me to quickly kind of give a point of view about that question, I absolutely agree with Simon. We all have a role to play in order to integrate and connect dots. We're integrating fragments. We are finding wholeness and balance, and really remembering who we truly are and what we're made of. I think the most important thing is to understand the hidden sciences, the things that we weren't taught in school, because that starts to open up us to, memories that can begin to switch us on, because we're very much under this net and in this mind control web that has a lot of psychological operations and tactics to keep us conquered and divided. And we have what it takes to get to the next level, but we have to be more familiar with it in order to begin to feel inspired or encouraged, because it's a part of who we are and what we're made of. So my focus in my research has been junk DNA. What is junk DNA? What is that made of? How does that connect to the earth grids and the multidimensional cosmos? What pieces of ourselves are we missing, and how can we assist one another in switching on those places? Because we all carry different aspects that we can help each other to switch on. So that's why unity consciousness is important, but first claiming personal sovereignty so that we have the discernment and we have our boundaries intact, so that we can not lose ourselves to the group mind, but come from a place of sovereignty, so that when we connect in unity consciousness, we're actually rebuilding the DNA architecture and lifting this veil and busting through that net.
Absolutely. And also, Laura, you receive channeled messages from your grandfather, don't you?
Well, I've never claimed to be a channeler of Eisenhower, but we've had a strong sort of spiritual connection since I was a kid. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, downloads and just intuitive sort of telepathic connecting. I mean, he came to me when I was really young, almost like helping prepare me. And I'm like, okay, what am I in for? Why is he showing up? And like, what is going on here? But yeah, so we've stayed real close and connected. And yeah, there's a lot that wasn't able to happen during his administration that I'm trying to disclose to the public, along with, so many others, to connect dots, to open up, what's been held secret, so that we know what we're dealing with.
Yeah. Simon, do you want to do a little intro? Sorry, I interrupted you before because everyone was all coming in and arriving, but do you want to give them a little bit of your background?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you. Went sort of public 10, 11 years ago, and of course was heavily attacked by the established television, radio, but managed to survive that. And I suppose the claim to fame really was coming from a secret military background. My grandfather worked for British intelligence, but really he was working for the CIA. My mother was working for British intelligence, but really she was working for the NSA. Excuse me. And her job was to type up documents that were coming from Germany in relation to crashed spacecraft. So that was the world that I grew up in. And my grandfather was a very high level Freemason, a British diplomat. But running alongside that, from a very early age, I have very strong memories of extraterrestrial, interdimensional, extra-dimensional entities, which really formed my life, if you like. So that really became a movement for me to look at the world, look at the control system, and decide that I was either going to just bow my head and do what everyone else was doing, or I was going to actually say, I don't really care, I'm going to do the truth, it doesn't matter. So that's what I did. And now I'm the head of a spiritual organization. We operate in about 110 countries. We have something like 15,000 members, and we don't charge a membership, all completely voluntary. And they're in the process at the moment of the United States of appointing coordinators for each state to manage the communities that we've got there. And back end of last year, I was offered a job to take up in America, which I'm accepting. So we're going to go to Arizona, 5-year contracts are going to literally move everything out there. And that will help me to build the organization. My goal is to have a healing center, and the organization that will employ me said that if they can't fund it, they'll put me in touch with a foundation that will. So, that's where I've gone. I've gone from going public with my experiences, being attacked heavily on British television, radio, the BBC, or a nasty bunch, the BBC. But I survived, and, doing the best I can. And thank goodness there are some strong allies in the United States. And as my future employer said to me, time to get you out of Dodge, Simon. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. Pharaoh, King, would you like to tell them a little bit about yourself?
Before I start, I want to say, peace to the Tony X. He was the only one I didn't get to formally greet and introduce myself before he came on. I didn't want to do that, so shout out to you, my brother. What's going on with you? And I go by Young Pharaoh. You know, for those of you who know me, you know that I don't like to consider myself a leader. I don't like that word because we all are our own you know, individual leaders. So I like to use words like spirit guide, spiritual assistant. You know, I give advice with super logic and common sense attached to it. And with that being said, I'm self-educated in areas such as biology, genetics. Uh, I consider myself a rogue historical scholar, especially in the areas of Black history. Um, you know, I'm destroying the political arena right now, completely exposing the deep state. I've been in tune with spirituality since day one. Used to not somebody who can actually understand truth through its vibration. When you hear it, I can put the science behind it and prove it to you. So if we're talking about extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, any kind of spiritual being, I can give you the magnogravitic science behind it. I can give you the paradox, excuse me, the paradoxology behind it. I can give you whatever you need to prove to you that there is a not an alternate world, but a extended world beyond us. And that's just metaphysics. Meta means beyond. Beyond is just what you can calculate via length, width, height, sound, volume, etc. So just because you can't perceive something does not demean its existence. And so, you know, this is pretty much how I'm coming down the street for y'all. And I wanted to throw some advice out there while I'm up. I'll try to compact it as much as possible. Everything has to be dealt with in the individual layers that the problem is occurring. So like if you got a wound on your shoulder and you got a wound on your leg, it would be wrong to just try to, you know, give somebody a detox tea to detox their body, because even though they need that, we got to deal with what's hurting the most first. What's hurting us the most in this world, not even just the country, in this world first, is the hijacking of our inner form. And so that is being done through information, your inner form. So we know that the elites control 95% of information. So they are determining which form we are going in internally. So what I'm suggesting first is, if we don't split this thing up into individual governments that actually, I don't even like saying government, because government means to control your mind. So I suggest that we create individual councils. But until that happens, let's say individual governments. We need governments that cater to the spiritual, psychological, and historical growth of the individual that is meant for. Not out of hate, not out of racism, but out of necessity. You can't tend to a watermelon, you know, based garden the way that you would tend to a raspberry based garden. These are two different organisms that have their own consciousness, and you got to love on them individually. So what we need to do is implement different leadership councils that institute not just law enforcement that reflects those individuals, but information. And so what I'm suggesting is, I say I don't you know, until I get a healthier term. For now, I'm saying something like 75% segregation. And where I'm going with that is social activities. Yes, we can commune, we can club, we can go to the same grocery stores, we can do everything we're already doing. But when it comes to classes such as history class, science class, you know, and just any of those type of essential mental tools that guide us to who we are, those must be separate. Now, if we come together and we can join classes to say, hey, what did you find? This is what we found. And, you know, let's see if one of us doesn't have the truth so that we can get to the truth, fine. But the foundation of education must be tailor-made to preserve the existence of individual's consciousness. I don't believe that all specific ethnicities should be taught the history of one specific ethnicity. That's one suggestion. Now, my second suggestion will be climbing up that ladder and going into the political realm. And what we have to understand is that the Democratic Party is a terroristic party. And I'm going to say that. They not only created the Ku Klux Klan to bully black people out of the Republican Party that we created, but they've used them.
I have to tell you, Simon's laughing because he's feeling you.
Yeah. That's right. The Democratic Party is a terroristic party. And not only did they create the Ku Klux Klan to bully blacks out of the Republican Party that we started, but they have been covertly using them to not only kill black people, but to misrepresent white America to start a race war. And I don't want nobody thinking I said that wrong. I said that exactly correct. And I'm going to give you my example. The white people I'm on this live with is not the white people you're mad at. But since you have no understanding of political history, history, extraterrestrial history, you blame everybody for something that literally one person is doing. So what I'm looking to do is to properly represent my community and preserve the culture, but stop unnecessary negative, projection negativity. And so where I'm going with this in the political realm is my first suggestion, which probably is not going to happen, is that according to the United States Constitution, the military be allowed to come in and fight terrorism because it's not only abroad, but it's domestic. So the Democratic Party should be declared a domestic terrorist party. For one, they created a hate group, the KKK. They allowed this group to infiltrate not only local law enforcement, state law enforcement, but federal levels of law enforcement, the NSA, and the CIA. And on top of allowing this group to consciously infiltrate these branches of this country's intelligence agencies, they also withheld the fact that they believe in Satanism through the guise of Freemasonry. So on top of having racial hate groups in control of not only black communities, but white communities who don't support them themselves, these people's belief system have led to the unwarranted subjecting of children being exposed to things such as rape, torture, ritual sacrifice, etc. On top of the fact that these same people have this theory, philosophy, ideology that they need to depopulate 90% of the planet Earth, which they've been doing without our permission through the food, through geoengineering, through vaccination, to which they conspired with communist China to do this with us, which also just slaps on other terroristic charges and conspiracy charges. And so what I'm suggesting is, on the people's level, we need to fight for, just like we got separation of state and church, we immediately now need separation of education in state, and we need separation of medical in state. So if it's not something that's essential, like plastic surgery, or something that I can't do, like a heart transplant or something, the government need not tell us what we be putting in our bodies. So the government should no longer have the power to say, hey, this is a great holistic, suggestion that's actually 100% healthy for your body, but we're going to take you to jail for that because it's not one of these 15-letter prescription drugs that's going to kill you. So we need a separation of medicine and state, and we need a separation of education and state. And I don't see why that would be a problem, because nobody in the history of this planet, as of right now, has used anything they've learned in school at their job. You don't use history at McDonald's. You don't use anything. So I don't understand why the government will have such a problem with that, because they don't employ us based off our educational backgrounds anyway.
So Pharaoh, what I wanted to do is have Tony X introduce himself and give his perspective, and then we can come back round on what we've got, because I think we've got the beginnings of some good discussion points here. And I know Simon, I can tell from Simon's face, he's got some thoughts that he was definitely enjoying hearing what you were saying. So Tony X, would you like to introduce yourself and let everybody know?
Before I start, for my viewers that's live on my Instagram right now, where will they come to view this if they wanted to view it live right now?
This can't be viewed live right now because we're focusing on coming up with a solution, and then we'll do the
Okay, well, in that case, I'm going to go, guys. We're not from here, but from here. I'm not going to let you guys hear this. I'm going to have this discussion, the topic, and I'm going to come back on here later. I thought that this was live.
No, this is live between us. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay,
I want us to focus on finding actual solutions. God told me to get.
Okay. I didn't know. I thought we were.
Fine, Tony. It's fine. I just want to tell you, Tony. So
everyone in the chat, first and foremost, I want to thank everyone for being here. I appreciate everyone for taking the time out. I'm pretty sure that you could have been doing other things pertaining to what it is you do on an actual day-to-day basis. Shout out to the brother Young Pharaoh. I definitely I've seen your work for a while. There was a sister in California. I have some growing property out there, but it's a sister I met out there a few years ago. And she first originally introduced me to your channel. She talked about our great similarities, just to say the least, on what it is we felt pertaining to our community. I hold a PhD in divinity. I've studied over 1,500 religions. I've mastered 150 religions. I write and read Latin. I speak Arabic. I am self-taught. I also beat the federal government acting pro se. And I actually went to a monastery while I was incarcerated, and that's where I initially started to receive my master's and eventually my PhD. I'm pretty much self-taught with everything. And currently right now, I'm running for Congress. I'm running against Alexandria Cortez in my city of New York. And I'm in my studio in Colorado right now where I shoot my YouTube show and other business ventures that I have from within the area. As far as having these people, I have the solution. Right now, we're in beta testing right now. I've heard a great deal of commentary and ideas and discussions, but to simplify it, the problem is the Illuminati. These individuals, they use a great deal of different tactics, whether it's magic squares, whether it is the use of sacrificing individuals in order to obtain information from their blood. There's a ton of things that these people do, but the reality is, how do we get rid of them? So I had a lot of people ask me this question a lot. I talk about them a lot. I expose them a lot. I'm probably the only person that's running for Congress currently right now that will tell you that they exist, and that will actually break down to you their bloodline and everything that pertains to this group specifically. To their infiltration of the Masonic order with Adam Weishaupt and starts with a P, Pike. With they're going to be so hyped that we're going to have to tell them that we're going to have to just dismantle the educational system that you've had currently. Like, we have to go in and we have to do it. It has to be done, because if not, there will always be a discussion of what a white supremacy is. And we will never be able to escape the idea of this notion if blacks don't realize they were here first. Do you understand? So if we go to educating blacks and we inform them that there isn't anything that belongs to anyone specifically was here with you in the beginning, as the fathers, as the mothers, as the brothers and sisters, as the authors of civilization, is incumbent upon you to not only share your resources with your children and your brothers and sisters, with those that are here as visitors as well. So as long as they come here in a peaceful manner, because this is, again, our kingdom. And then at that point, we can reestablish an educational system, everything else. But first and foremost, we gotta get rid of these fucking politicians. And the way I know about getting rid of Illuminati is getting them out of power. If we don't have them creating legislation, we will no longer have them actually holding us back and doing the shit they're doing currently right now. I wanted to ask him Pharaoh what he thought about it.
Absolutely, Tony, that was amazing. I have to say that was amazing. Thank you. And after Pharaoh, do you want to speak, Simon, as well? Because I know he's got something he definitely wants to say to the two of you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I want to say to Tony, that was a marvelous presentation. I'm glad I was able to hear that. I'm definitely on board with what I heard from, I believe it was Laura and Tony. I'm gonna be looking forward to contacting you and interacting with you personally on that. And I totally agree. And if all I don't believe that that'll fail at all, but I just like to let people know, if all else fails, sitting in the military, because we have more than enough proof. Yeah, we have more than enough proof to back up not only what Tony just said, but what we're all saying. Because if you have any form of critical thinking ability, you know that is true. And so we have more than enough proof to prosecute, whether you want to call them Illuminati, Freemasons, the deep state, the cabal, I don't care.
Whatever.
We have more than enough to prosecute them within the confines of a military tribunal. So, we can try and do it by book, as this great ones just suggested. And if that doesn't work, or they put up a fight, I want to see General Flynn and Donald Trump exercised their authority to send in the military to protect the United States citizens from domestic terrorists. So we got these people tied to not just money laundering, but human trafficking. You know, whatchamacallit, Africa just recently put out an article that I'm finna post where they confirmed that Hillary Clinton and Obama brought back the slave trade in Libya and allowed it. So, you know, that's definitely a crime against humanity. And so I just want to let people know we can do it either way. We got them either way. But if they don't want to respect the unionized route that this magnificent mind has just suggested, let's not forget that we have the ability to invoke the military to get them up out of here, straight up.
I'm gonna lie real quick, and I don't care who's watching this because I'm pretty sure they are. If in fact this doesn't work and they try to stop it, I will then turn into my alter ego, and there will be a Mr. J running around here, and I will be warned by every single law enforcement because I will pick these motherfuckers off. I don't care who's watching this. I'm gonna let it be known right now. And there's tons of people out here that feel I can smoke as well. I stay in shape. I'm 40 years old. I do not look it. I stay in shape and prepared and ready. I'm about to go camping in the woods with the bears and shit all by myself. You understand? Like, I'm not playing. I'm prepared. And I think that a lot of our children need to start being prepared too. When you come out here, like when I'm out here in Colorado, these children get airsoft guns, all type of military tactical shit that they get to train their children with. And we don't get that shit where we in our neighborhoods. And I suggest a lot of brothers that are in these areas, that are sisters that are in these areas that can get this. So the groups that we start and everything else, start shipping some of these supplies to the kids in the neighborhoods and start preparing these kids for this type of tactical warfare. Show them how to build a fire and how to pitch a tent, and show them how to do simple hunting, because just in case if shit hits the fan, you have to be prepared to go in. You can't sit back and just sit and that's why I ran, because I got tired of doing YouTube and just exposing them raping babies and shit. What the fuck is this going? I had to run. I had to do something, because if I can't run it, and if I can't do it my way, then it's not going to work. Simon, I'm sorry to cut you off, brother. I just had to get in there real quick, King. Yeah.
I did want to just say, when we were talking about like the death threats things and things like that, they did actually try to take you out, didn't they, Simon, at one point? It was something that all of his followers are aware of. So they did try it with Simon previously. But I hand over to Mr. Simon Parks.
Well, I'm happy to talk now, but if we're following the same pattern at which we started, it really should be Laura. Does Laura want to come in?
Such a gentleman.
Oh, thanks, Simon. What about Preston and June? I just want to, before I speak, did you guys?
So the thing is, June, I want to help kind of keep the conversation going, but I'm not going to give my opinion. And June and Preston, we're going to add in towards the end, maybe about the Freedom Project and stuff.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
The reason I was saying Simon was just because I saw the acknowledgement on his face as the two men were speaking, that I was just like, I'm desperate to hear what he was thinking. But no, definitely, Laura, you know, if you would like to put your feedback on what they've said, for sure.
Well, I definitely want, to be in sort of the dialogue, because I can tell too, he's got something to say, I've got something to say. I'm just so blown away. Everything that I've heard is major. It feels energetically so right on, and it's such a powerful weekend to be discussing this. We have a solar, the eclipse and the solstice happening this weekend. So the effects of it can last, 3 to 6 months. The solstice part, the 3 months, the eclipse, 6 months. So the fact that these themes are coming up and we're putting attention on it is just a really good timing. Because it's really, the growth period for humanity right now is the throat chakra. We're spreading viruses through the mind control that we might buy into. The divide and conquer tactics, the psychological operations are something that we spread through our belief in it, our giving our power away to it, our fear of it, and just how that ends up, holding others, to it. So we've, actually enabled the things that we don't want. So we're in this huge growth period as a humanity to get sovereignty back in our throat chakra, so that we're actually communicating from our higher awareness, our internal guidance, our sovereignty, and our capacity to come together in unity. And that frequency is a truth frequency, and it begins to, I feel it begins to neutralize the dark weaponry, because the dark weaponry is something we've been dealing with for thousands and thousands of years. Things put in reversals. The AI part of it, wants the divide and conquer, so it can begin to assimilate us into the AI, so that we actually lose the soul matrix and the emotional intelligence, and it just ends up, being a computer simulation, even worse than it has been. So we have to, kind of break down these things through the frequency of, truth and listening to one another and making this happen. And then we bust through the net and we begin to open up this greater circulation that can actually purify everything and create solutions based in cosmic and natural law, things that are already encoded in cosmic and natural law, like just like the body knows how to heal, and it automatically has a healing response to an injury. The earth and the cosmos are encoded with what needs to happen on the planet. But the problem is the mind control takes us so far out of ourselves that, we're dealing with, illnesses that could be very catalytic, because any physical symptom can bring us closer to ourselves. But these power industries have hijacked us instead, and we get further away from ourselves. We get more disconnected from our body. We're given drugs and solutions that don't help. None of, a huge portion and percentage of the medical industry, you don't see the holistic approach. We're not getting to know ourselves more in the face of adversity. In fact, we give our power away more, and that separation begins to take place. So this is a really critical window where adversity can be so catalytic to the real immune system being activated on a spiritual level, on a physical level, on a mental consciousness level, and break that, those energetic cords with these very detrimental programs and there's many different types of programs. So I feel like this kind of frequency that we're holding is a part of that, and a lot of people are carrying that, and it's the override frequency that can create the second wave of expansion and growth instead of a second wave of further enslavement. And it does have the ability to clear people from those harmful connections and actually move a person away from AI signals to connect with something much more organic, where we're actually talking to the authentic person and their soul truth, and working with that instead of the engineered version of it all that never gets us anywhere, where we're just spinning on this hamster wheel and we keep repeating the same mistakes, and we're stuck in this time loop, right? This is the time where we're going to bust through it and do it right. And I feel incredibly encouraged by what you guys have said.
I'm desperate to hear your perspective, Simon, because I know you were really, really fascinated, particularly by what the two kings were saying.
Okay, thank you. I can't hang around for too long because I've got the Ted Ma radio show in a little while. So yeah, I was a lawmaker for 3 terms of office, and it was in the last term of office when there was a serious attempt to try and finish my physical body off, which didn't work. It was quite interesting because since 2012, I've worked with people who have suicide programs, multiple personalities, usually through ritual torture. The particular instance that you're referring to was a young woman, and when she was about 6 months old, her father sold her and her brother to the elite for $1 million so that they could be tortured. And what they were trying to do was to bring some really advanced brains, shall we say, to work for the Rothschilds. And this young woman had been electrocuted across her head. And because what that does is it produces scar tissue, and in a young child, the neurons grow through the scar tissue and they create a very intelligent person. Now, when she came to me, it took me 6 months to get her right. She had an IQ of 164, and when we'd finished, she was on 182. But this was an attack against me because I was freeing this woman from their control. So since about 2012, that's what I've done, and that's partly what this healing center is going to do. There are plenty of people. So I wanted to quickly talk about young Pharaoh and Tony X's points. There are 3 cities in the US that have been earmarked for martial law. I can absolutely tell you that the military are already agreed to move into the 3 major cities and under the cover of that to bring in these courts martials. So that's actually been agreed, but even though the military numbers 1 million troops, there probably isn't enough to control the whole of the US, but then you wouldn't have to. Tony X is really important. He talks about the education. My view is that you have to drive a wrecking ball or a bulldozer through every institution. The whole structure has to come down. You cannot build a house when the ground is rotten. You have to dig right down, take all of the corruption out, and rebuild it. The difficulty is not just the politicians, Tony. The problem is those behind the politicians. You're absolutely right. They use the politicians to legitimize their illegal acts. But the issues we've got are also the ultimate money men, and they are men, the money men behind this, who are funding a lot of programs. So the attack, if that's the right word, against this mindset has to also consider the possibility that they have influence other than just political points. And I would love to work with young Pharaoh, and I would love to work with Tony X in any way that I can serve, and I don't expect anything back from it. We are at a critical point. The human race is at a point of no return, in the sense that wherever we go now as a consciousness will dictate what happens in the next 1,000 years. And many of us are aware that we are being divided, or that's the attempt to break us up, because that's what they've always done. You think back to the Bible, the Tower of Babel, where allegedly everybody spoke the same language, and of course we all worked together. So we were outperforming the prison guards. And so in the Bible, they say that everybody then was given a different language. We couldn't communicate, so therefore we didn't get on. That's a nice story, but there's a grain of truth in that, is that it's not about language. It's about our belief in humanity. It's our belief in truth and sovereignty. And if we can work on that, it doesn't matter what our color, what our language, we should be able to put people first. And, that's what we're all doing in our own way. So, I'm delighted to talk, and unfortunately I can't hang around for too long, because Ted's show, which was based in Seattle, Ted was told that unless he removed me as a guest speaker, I go on twice a month to Seattle, he would have his radio show closed down because I was, quote, too pro-President Trump. Well, God bless Ted. He refused to drop me. And as a result of that, the radio show has been completely closed down. But he's moving to California. He's doing his first one tonight from California. So I have to go and support him since I'm the reason for him losing his show. So I'll hang on for a little bit longer, then I will have to go. But yes, absolutely. Whatever I can do for you or anyone else.
If you have a link to his show, if they can listen to it online, young Pharaoh and I have a very vast audience on Twitter and on Instagram. I wouldn't mind posting and tweeting the link to tell people to go listen if they have some time and leisure, to make sure that we actually help support your friend's program as well.
Thank you.
Sorry that he lost his job, but sometimes standing up for the truth means sacrificing everything. There's a gun in every room in this house. There's 4 guns in this room right now. There's a 12 gauge, a 357 in here right now.
That's the beauty of the Second Amendment, you see.
I'm not like, when I tell you that we take my life with extreme measures, like we take it with extreme measures. You understand? Like extreme measures.
I did have that. Sorry, can I interrupt just quickly? I did have that as one of my questions, because I'd just like to bring it up while Simon's still here. And that was actually something that Tony X actually mentioned a little bit earlier, and Pharaoh has mentioned this as well. But that is, in your opinion, Simon, what is the best way for us to protect these two kings' lives?
It's actually not just about numbers of people profile, because there have been a lot of people with a very high profile who fell out of a roof, fell off this, that, and the other, or committed suicide. The higher profile you are, the more likely they'll go for a car accident. That's actually the key way they do it. Now, the better way is to have something or somebody that looks over you, so that, to use an American phrase, a whole load of shit will come down on you if you do it. I'm really pleased that in the 10 years that I've been working with my clients, and some of my clients are reasonably well connected, I haven't lost one, not one. I can't say too much, simply because it's not fair on them, but there have been a number of people who've come to me who are still in the swamp and want to get out of it. And that's, I think, is the way we'll go. So I think that the two guys have to believe in themselves, believe in their own sovereignty, believe that nothing bad will happen to them, and nothing bad will happen to you.
Right.
And that's just what you do. You just believe in that. That's how we've got to be, because we have got to, it's not that we're leaders. I'm not a leader, and just a person who is prepared to speak and not be silenced because I'm frightened of dying, because the physical body will die. But unfortunately, I'll come back. I don't know what I'll come back as, but I will come back, and I'll keep coming back until the job is done. And I think that goes for all of us. And then when the job is done, we can have a bloody good vacation. So until that time,
I was just
fear death.
Sorry?
Oh, yeah, I wanted to say I'm glad Tony made that suggestion about sharing the link, because I definitely was thinking the same thing. But as far as staying protected, everything Simon said was right and exact. And the other half of that, because I do believe this is being pre-recorded for us to edit and post, so that people could get some idea of where we're going. So for the sake of that, some things I don't want to really say, not because I want to withhold information, but because I don't want to give people that are financially higher than me my blueprint. But what I will say is, when we talk privately, I have all bases covered as far as security goes. I will be extending my suggestions, and I want to let people know, when you see me with them shooters, they will be paid and licensed, paid security guards by my own agency. And so I want to let you know, if you are somebody who will need security, whether it be individually, personally, residentially, your business needs security. Not only will I provide that, I'll be providing that at dirt cheap prices. So people like Tony X doesn't have to pay $400 an hour a bodyguard.
No, I don't do that. You know what's crazy? I grew up boxing. I was a Golden Glove. So yeah, my cousin, who's also was a Golden Glove, he does my security, man. I give him $100, man. He's good to go. That's it.
And so with this is great as that is, I'm glad that you got that. And for the people who don't have that, because I understand, I don't like to use the word blessed, because it means to sprinkle blood. I've been fortunate enough to grow up in the ghetto. And the reason I say fortunate is because it taught me how to move like a man when it comes to self-defense. A lot of people don't have that training. And so if you're a political figure, such as somebody like Dr. Shiva, and you're valuable to the people, you may not, I'm not specifically singling out Dr. Shiva, I'm just being hypothetical here. Let's say you can't afford personal bodyguards to be outside your home every day. Let's say you can't afford security 24 hours a day at your home. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it to where not only can you afford it, but it'll be offering jobs to my community. So if you're somebody who need a job and you know you may not be able to work, whether you got a family or not, you could come get this money. And what you'll be doing is being bodyguards for righteous people that's trying to do right. And so not only will security be affordable to them, it'll be creating jobs for you. And I want to let y'all know that the person that I'm going to have training my security team and my personal bodyguard is ex-Navy, and he used to train SWAT. So not only is he highly skilled in combat, we're going to be teaching people how to disarm you. So if you got a knife, a shotgun, we will take it out your hand. So I want to let y'all know I'm coming down the slab. I have the logo created. I have the paperwork actually being formulated. The only thing that held me up was the damn COVID. Now I'm waiting for this country to get back jumping so I can get my paperwork so I can start doing my rounds around the country. So I want to let y'all know where I'm going with it. Not only will security be used to protect important individuals, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start creating community watch clubs again and allowing them to hire themselves after they train at my facility to become their own security. So slowly but surely, we can become the watchers of our own community. So instead of, you know, police patrolling and harassing, why can't we take 6 different people, give them all 3 different shifts, you know, morning, evening, and overnight, and let them just sit outside anyway, like they're doing anyway, and make sure that nothing happens. You know, when the kids get on the bus for school in the morning until we can successfully reform the school system, why can't we have a guy sitting on the corner and making sure don't nobody snatch these kids up? And so what the security will be able to do is combat human trafficking. When police pull somebody over, we won't get involved, but you won't have to record because we'll have a security guard on each block whose job is to record all police interactions. And on top of policing our own communities and protecting ourselves from deep state infiltration, the greatest minds will have personal security, and the security will be the people. So you don't got to worry about your own security guard poisoning your goddamn drink, because we all on the same type of time and we're creating jobs for each other. So I just want to let y'all know that's where I'm going. That's one of my moves.
London, if you get your business plan done and all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, I can get that to Pastor Scott, who works with the URC. The president gave us $100 billion, but a lot of that money is outsourced towards Blacks and Black-owned businesses. So they can get you a grant. The grant may be anywhere from 20 grand to $1 million, depending on what your business plan is actually asking for. I own a trucking company with my partner. We have 2 trucks. So in trucking, the most money that you're going to get is from hazmat and or pulling cars. We have 2 trucks that pull cars. I can put 10 cars on my truck, and all of them could be $100,000 Mercedes, and they're going to have to pay me for each truck. You understand? So the money in that is crazy. We're turning into a franchise to take it out to do it in 18 different states, assuming that I can get this grant done. But I shouldn't have a problem because I don't work for the URC. I just assist them in urban engagements. So I'm not on their payroll.
And I want to say this, not to cut you off. I ain't rich, but I'm doing pretty well. So the reason I'm saying that is because this is exactly why I got myself here. So if me and you gonna talk off the camera in private,
we got to, King. We got to, King. And we got to do a live today. We got to do a live for Instagram today. We got to break Instagram today too. What's up?
Go ahead.
Hey guys, Simon has to jump off just because he's going on the show. We all carry on.
Appreciate you.
Carry on, Simon. I love you. I love you. I love you. I appreciate you offering support to all the guys, and I will connect it all up afterwards on the WhatsApp.
Well, I'm very grateful that you've given me the opportunity to meet everyone here, and you know, we've had a talk, and I think, well, I know that we all agree, and that's excellent. And as I've said, I will do whatever I can. I don't want anything in return for it. So whatever I can do. Now, remember that September, October, we should be relocating to the US. Been offered that 5-year contract in Arizona. So once I'm in the US, then I'll be in a position to be able to meet people face to face. Okay,
Yes,
listen,
sir.
God bless to everybody.
I'll make sure I throw the red carpet out for you. We're gonna throw you a great event when you get here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Simon. I'm really
God
honored.
bless.
Simon,
Bye-bye.
so great to spend time with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Simon.
And Tony, to end where I was to end on this capstone where I was going with the bill, and for everybody here, fuck a grant. You know what I'm saying? It's time to say, you know what? This is what we're trying to do. If y'all not gonna support, we can support ourselves. So this ain't just for Tony, but this is for people that have legitimate mind and legitimate businesses. Me personally, with everything, all the information I divulge, I already have a guaranteed blueprint of how I could make this work. Not only by backing it myself, but without the help of a bank or anything. So I want to put this out there, not just for Tony, but for everybody. The people that make a little bit of money, it's our fucking obligation to reach back and pull our people. So my thing is, I want to say this because it needs to be said. You don't gotta be an NBA player. You don't gotta be an NFL player to make businesses pop. If we want to build Wall Streets, whether they be black Wall Streets, white Wall Streets, I don't give a damn. If you want your community to pop, all we need is for the community to engage. And we're not going to have the whole community engage because some people are naturally haters and other people are so distrustful that they won't engage until they see something work. So we understand that. So for the people who fail to engage, you know, for those of us who are a little more financially comfortable, it's up to us to somewhat pull that slack. So if you got somebody like Tony here who has a beautiful, grand idea, and the only thing he's waiting on is financial support, it's obligation. It's obligation at this fucking point to support each other. Because if Bill Gates can get support for making a deadly vaccine, you know what I'm saying? People like Tony or others can get support for making liberating business decisions. And so not only, you know, is people like Tony's idea great, the security is great because now you always feel safe. So let's say, you know, if we getting this off the ground and somebody's trying to sabotage it, you'll feel a little bit more safe, you know, sitting in that office, or you'll feel a little bit more safe pulling up at them truck stops when you have security there that's waiting, you know, to hold you down. And so this is why everybody got to take, you know, their part. And so, you know, I'm not designating myself as a leader of anybody. But if we had an imaginary country, I most definitely would be in the military area of the country. Now, I'm not in everybody's business, but when it comes to, you know, analytical data and how to properly secure our communities while making ourselves millionaires off doing it, I got that shit on lock. And I'm not going to totally give my blueprint out. But what I want everybody to know is as soon as I get my paperwork back, I'm going to be making it public. And right now, I'm in the process now of actually looking for a facility to purchase where I can train my people. And I don't want no bullshit facility. I want a real nice state-of-the-art type facility. So I'm already at like step 9 out of 10 of my plan. So not only do I plan on going public with this after I get it done, but I'm going to be reaching out to people, not just like Tony, but anybody else that has ideas that they want to pop off, and they may need to have their physical person secured until they pop those ideas off. Or if they have a business that they want to run and they need their business to not be sabotaged, they'll be able to outsource people like me, and we'll make the security not only super affordable, but it'll be done professionally. And it'll be done by people who not only you can trust, but they'll be physically and psychologically damn near on military level. So you'll have more than a security guard. You'll have your own little fake, not fake, let me not say that. You'll have your own little citizen version of a soldier. And so I want to let people know everybody got to come together on this effort. This is not it's more than just watching people that you like on the internet. I want to remind y'all, we are not entertainers. This is not VH1. You know, this shit is not scripted. You're not watching a reality TV show. You're watching people that are utilizing the internet to do what intellectual revolutionaries were doing before there was the internet. So you wouldn't consider, you know, Malcolm X or somebody like that a entertainer or a celebrity. You would consider them a revolutionary intellectually. So imagine if Malcolm X had social media, and if you can understand that, treat us the same way. Don't treat me like you watching, you know, Netflix or something, or your favorite YouTuber. I'm just using YouTube because it's all I have at this time. But I want everybody to know we going for broke this year. We're not doing no laying down. If you scared, say that, because you're going to save me, you know what I mean, from thinking I'm with a rider. But for everybody that's not scared, know that there are ballot blueprints that are already drawn up, Buckley and drawn up, that are already drawn up And all you have to do is simply engage. It's that simple. And I'm end my piece right there.
Absolutely. No, thank you, Pharaoh. I wanted to ask Laura, obviously, because the main thing we have at the moment going on is the race wars, which obviously these two kings are just, you know, they've got so much knowledge and everything about it. Do you have anything that's coming to mind in a way that maybe you may be able to support the kings, or ideas or perspectives that you may be able to add just with the knowledge that you have as well?
I just resonate with everything, and I mirror Simon. I mean, I'm totally here. I don't need anything for it. I just feel we have such common goals and visions. We might be coming at it differently based on that particular, you know, piece we might, you know, represent, because it's true to, you know, who we are. But I mean, these are, I know you guys don't consider yourself leaders. I don't consider myself a leader, but what we do have in common is that we are willing to be our authentic selves. We're willing to have a voice and be an example, because really everybody needs to, you know, switch on and recognize their role. We can't just, you know, kind of sit back. We need to generate our visions into the world and not just be at the mercy of everything coming at us through all these distorted news sources. And so I just really feel like this breaks the negative patterning that has captured so much of humanity, not just loosh, but you know, life force. I mean, we're being harvested. The things that get triggered are being used to battery up artificial timelines that we don't need to be on, because they're false and they're fake. So getting back to truth, getting back to our authenticity is how we're going to, you know, put the pieces together. But you know, I'm just here to anytime you guys want to look me up, anything that you feel, maybe as you get to know my work more, that you feel that I could do, you know, that'd be amazing. I'm looking for, when Simon mentioned healing center, I mean, that's my vision. I'm working with some of the women who are victims of Epstein, and we're kind of putting our heads together to create a healing center to help victims of human trafficking, and to open up just the beginnings, which I know are already happening. A lot of other people are envisioning this, but something beyond hospitals, you know, actual healing centers that deal with the many levels and layers of the types of traumas that many have experienced in the human race, and making a priority to rehabilitate together and really hold hands together and do it right in accordance with cosmic natural law. And I say that because, you know, our cities and the technologies and the medicines are not in alignment with our DNA upgrades. They just keep us dumbed down. They keep us, you know, the symbolism of being masked is very much metaphor of these times, of just masking our truth, suppressing the things that need to come forward. So I just feel like it's just music to my ears. I'm just listening. And yeah, so I'm kind of looking in the local area that I'm in, but looking to also branch out. I know traveling's a little bit difficult, but I've spent the last 10 years just kind of going all over the world, you know, trying to plant, you know, these kind of seeds, not as articulate or to the level that you guys have been able to express as far as solutions and moving forward, but, you know, the focus on, you know, just getting the foundation, reclaiming the foundation of, you know, ourselves, our connection, you know, to this beautiful planet, all the resources and abundance, you know, that it provides. And it isn't really about the money system, but using currency as a way to rebuild instead of, you know, this vampiric kind of 1% and the rest is sort of injustice and, you know, having to answer to a reward system that's rewarding people for not living their truth. But just, you know, to play their game and to be pawns of their greater game. We're going to, you know, shift the whole idea of currency to the point where it turns into something else, because anytime, and I feel the same, I have extra resources, I want to give back. I want to take care of those that are, you know, struggling. And I don't need any extras, really. I mean, having my basic needs met, yes, and I have kids and this and that, but, you know, anything else is just more of an opportunity to invest in these visions and to support those that need, you know, support to do their role. And that, you know, and I've just had these visions of, you know, building funds to be able to help people transition out of their matrix jobs where they actually are compromising themselves and they don't feel like they have a choice, because they're being told, if you don't get this vaccine, you're going to lose your job. If you don't mask your child, he won't be able to go to school. And it's like, it's just not possible for certain families to be able to manage the craziness that's going on. So to help people transition out of that matrix confinement and control that's playing on survival, and that survival chakra of panic, fear, how am I going to take care of my family sort of thing, that they feel there are open arms to help them rebuild their lives on a foundation that is aligned with integrity and compassion and truth and unity, instead of being played, being used, being victimized, being threatened to the point where they're giving up something because they don't think that there's another option. And so helping people transition out of that mindset who deep down really want that. And also, the folks that Simon was talking about, those that, want to escape this, want to get out, who have been blackmailed, who have been drugged at parties, and who, are being held in these sort of blackmail threats, is to help to educate people so they understand what we're dealing with, so that we don't fail to assist them in stepping away from that dark negative satanic system. So anyway, I'm just like loving listening. I'm so thrilled I got to be a part of this. I thank you so much for inviting me. You guys are awesome. And so you get my contact info, you know where to reach me, and I'm just down with whatever you want to do whenever you want to meet. So you're going to say something, Tony?
Yeah, if I wanted to say something. I know some people don't consider themselves leaders, but I consider myself a leader, because the literal definition is someone who is sovereign, someone who is a supervisor, someone who's a governor, someone who's a king and queen, someone who's a ruler. That's the literal interpretation of Pharaoh's name. So he may not even agree that he's leader, but I'm pretty sure if he told 10,000 people, if he told his followers he needed 10,000 people to come outside to do something, I'm pretty sure they will go outside and they would do it. So we all have our different interpretations of what it is, but in my community, I'm a supervisor of the activities. That's the reason why I comment on it, and I'm able to correct the misbehavior that I see. And that's the reason why I'm able to actually combat the ignorance, is because as someone that they see as a leader, they're able to actually listen. If they didn't see you, the thing is, the sad truth is that society now is that money's going to make you popular, or you have to have a huge audience for people to already want to even listen, and that's just the sad thing about it. You could be someone with 500 followers, you can know everything that me and Pharaoh knows put together, combined, and with everything else everyone else knows, and have only 500 followers. And people just aren't going to listen more because you only have 500 followers. You understand? Like, that's just the sad reality of it all. So for me, I do consider myself as a leader, because I also know that in order for you to be a king, you're going to have to disagree to agree with other kings in order to find peace for kingdoms. When I was in prison, I'm a Crip. I'm a Northside Gangster Crip. I held leadership over 1,500 individuals. The Bloods had about 2,200 individuals on the compound. We could have had all-out war. We could have had all-out war. They could have felt like their side outnumber us by a few hundred, and maybe they could have just that. But me already assessing the situation, I understood that I'm gonna have to go and talk to the kings. I sat down, I had lunch. I had my guys prepared the biggest jail feast you can think of. I invited the leaders. I sat them down and I told them, I said, it makes no sense, because at the end of the day, you could say whatever you want, but people are not going to make it off this compound. And even if you lost one person that you loved, that you said you loved, even if you lost one, it will be one person too many. We could actually run this whole shit together. You understand? Right. You guys get this, we get this. How about we do an embargo, we do some exchanging, we show some love, and next thing you know, we eating chow, because the Mexicans, they don't have no problems with each other. You understand? Like, they're over there and they're chilling. You understand? Like, they have no issues with each other whatsoever, and they're chilling. So it got to a point where I realized that you're going to have to be a king. And if you're going to be a king, then you're going to have to accept being a leader. You understand? Like, heavy is the head that wear the crown. No one knows everything you know. Everyone tells you all of their problems, and you can never tell anyone about the shit you're going through. You know what I mean? Like, and to me, that's what a leader is. You know what I mean? So we have maybe
it's
different
not the old
interpretations.
paradigm version. It's not about control. It's not about tyranny. It's not about. It's about serving what the good in all, being in service to the good of all, and that's the kind of leader that I feel you guys are, and that is leadership. But it's not in the ego so much, but it has to, take that stand. It's encoded in you. It's like you can't run from it. It's going to find you because it's who you're born to be. And that acknowledgement is really important. But also, the fact that between the two of you, that it's the right kind of leadership. It's what it's going to take to get us out of this mess.
And I want to say, Tony X just helped me realize I'm being too humble. So I gotta underneath the great direction of my fellow king. Okay, I want to let everybody know I'm claiming the title from here on out. Okay, underneath the influence of that great mind right there. I loved everything I heard, and when you hear truth, if you're a truthful person, you're gonna digest it. So I'm gonna let y'all know. Let me put my shit on right.
He was soft. The crazy thing is, I know he was soft. Like, I know, I understand. I can see through auras and everything, King. Even here, you understand?
Yeah.
Like, I refuse. Like, you were given the order to govern the wisdom. You understand? That's the reason why at first I reached out, because I knew enough to know already. There's a reason why the Phoenix is on my back, and I have the soul bird on me. I've been here before. You understand? Like, I know. I'm watching. I've been watching. You feel me?
Right. What's your
Sorry, this is important. You just said his past life. What did you say his past life was? Because maybe that's what
He is soft.
Okay, so
you know what?
He created the tablets. Listen, he created the tablets. Let me explain something to you. Hysterical. This guy created the tablets. He is governed. He was ordered and governed to create. What we're dealing with right now is a balance between what happens in the nook. This is in the noon. This is between order and chaos. You understand? Right. The reason why this man's holding the records, the reason why he's able to hold the records, is because he was the man that gave us the records in the beginning, in the first place. I was there and I saw it. So when I sit here and I watch him, I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to sit here and not allow him to say, because he manifested what his name was without even realizing that in course it would come back to say, this is who you was. There's been different representations of who you are many different times, and we're going to come back many different times in order to correct what is going on right now. So I already know.
Tony, I have to tell you how funny this is. So when I first introduced Simon to Pharaoh's work, and I sent him the picture, because Simon just needs to see the picture and he can see all your past lives. He can see what galaxy you came from, the whole thing. Straight away, he said, does Pharaoh remember our past life together? And I said that, didn't I, Pharaoh? And I said to you, I was like, do you remember? And you were like, I'm going to meditate on this. And Simon was like, if he can remember, this shit's going to be wild. Now, that wasn't Simon's words. That's my words. But Simon was like, this will be good if he can remember. So this is very interesting.
He's the record holder. He is the record holder. He is the record holder. He created the tablets. He created the tablets.
I did a channeling one time, right? And I be keeping a lot of stuff to myself, as you know, especially being Black. You know, this is not to hit anybody, but our community, we seem to take shit as a joke a lot. So when it comes to being Black, I keep a lot of stuff to myself. But I did a channeling one time, and I was in the channeling through the person I had do it for me. I was given the vibratory sound of my spirit guide, because as we know, they don't have names, they have sounds. So like, I can't really tell somebody how to do it. I know how to do the sound with my mouth. But long story short, inside of the channeling, what I was told was the last time I came here was up somewhere around 4,000 years ago. And they said in the channeling between that time and now, my consciousness in my last life had risen so high because I learned so many things that I just chose not to even have a body, because I was like, it's not even no point of being physical because I attained that level of intellect. Then in the channeling, they said I reincarnated in this time to basically dispense a certain amount of consciousness on the planet right now, so we could come where we need to be. So a lot of the reason that I feel so confident in what I do is because I already found my purpose on my own, just following my spirit. Like I learned how to do my natal chart by myself. I learned how to draw it out. I drew the planets on it. I wrote down the definitions of what each house mean. I actually did my natal chart on my own through manual hand configuration. And then when I was able to do it on the computer, it matched. So I built my confidence by doing stuff on myself on my own and then confirming it to myself. And so the you know, where I take that reading so that I can stay humble is not to say, you know, I'm Jesus Christ. It's not that, but it's for me to say, okay, what I'm being told in my readings and in my channeling is actually I'm seeing it with my own two eyes. So that's where I get my confidence from. And so the reason I wanted to give y'all that story is so that y'all can, you know, take that however you want to take it. But I keep that really to myself because, for one, when you have intimate spiritual moments, you know, I don't care if you take some DMT, I don't care if you have a dream, you know what I'm saying? Anybody who has seen that level of consciousness, you know that shit, it breaks you out of the, it's no way you can go back to just playing Madden after you have a certain experience. It's like, damn, does this even matter? So I keep a lot of stuff to myself because I don't like arguing with people, or I don't like feeling like I gotta, you know, I want to punch somebody in the mouth because they don't understand my level of thought and they want to play with me. And so I keep a lot of stuff that I do. Like people ask me, you know, what do you do? How do you meditate? I keep a lot of stuff to myself because we live in troll culture. So just as everything got balance, and I'm gonna end here. The more enlightened we're becoming, the more petty and stupid people are becoming. It got to be a balance. So just like we sitting here and we like, you know, oh my goodness, we got all these great, you know, trains of thought from all these different backgrounds. We got wicked trains of pettiness from all different backgrounds. So, you know, I keep a lot of my spiritual journey to myself because I don't like arguing with people. I don't like people thinking that they can play with me like that because I still live by the code of this realm I grew up in. I don't play them games like that. So I keep a lot of stuff to myself, and I just, you know, I mind my business. But, you know, I hope you guys take that information and, you know, do what you wish with it. And what I do know is I have a very good feeling about this. That is what I do know.
I do know I recognize you because I know who you are. I've seen you before. I've been here before. You understand? And I too know my spiritual harmony. I know how to make sure I keep my vibrations right. And also, too, if we ever get a chance, when we do go live, I would like to talk about protocols that I use in order to deal with cancer, herpes, AIDS, because I went to Honduras. I was there for 6 weeks. We helped get Sabi his visa to even come to Brooklyn to do the speech that he did in Brooklyn. We was a part of the petition for the government to be able to let him, because after he beat them, you know, they sent him back to Honduras, so he couldn't come back to the U.S. So, but when I got to see what he was doing, my eye is his original wife. That's the person that really knows the herbs and everything else. His second wife, I'm not gonna recommend her. You understand? But what I did learn was that a lot of people can't do it. So then I learned about 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide. It's used, 99% is used to fuel rocket ships. It's basically just liquid oxygen. So, and we know that most of these diseases are anaerobic. There's doctors in Fresno, in California, and in Nevada that actually are legally able to administer this. And this is where a lot of the Hollywood elites go, like Magic Johnson and everyone else, in order to eradicate their systems from these diseases. I would like for us to be able to also take this and introduce this form of body healing to our community. That way, if we could obtain more phlebotomists and people who are able to actually train, learn what is being done, then we can actually have it in our community and get rid of a lot of diseases that are in our community right now that's actually ailing our people.
What I love about that is you notice how the one thing that's joining us all together as well is the healing. You know, Simon is actually having his healing center funded when he gets out to Arizona, Laura's interest in building out healing centers. You're talking about the healing centers. I believe, you know, me and June have talked about that. Me and Preston have talked about, it's like, this is, the healing centers is actually what joins us together. And what's great is because of the relationship between these fellow leaders, I'll say it with exclamation marks, is that we will share this technology because we want what's best for the world. And that's what's really, really beautiful. I did want to say, guys, the goal of this, I'm so pleased that we did this today, because the goal was to build bonds. And I believe the bond between yourself and Tony has become so strong just from you guys being able to recognize each other, but also to be able to create a bond between Laura and Pharaoh, Laura and Tony, because this is the thing, you guys can all interview each other, you all have lovely platforms. Laura has a great platform too, so does Simon. You know, there's some, this is how we create unity. I was always told, you know, that the leaders need to come together, but it's actually the true leaders, the ones that have sort of come out of ego, where we can do this, you know, because a lot of the other so-called leaders are still off, you know, judging each other and all that sort of stuff, whereas we're not doing that, you know. So I just think it's a really beautiful thing, and I'm just really pleased that these bonds have been able to take place, that Simon's been able to state, you know, how much he wants to support both of you. And I did also just want to mention this Freedom Project, where we're at with it just so far. And that is that basically August 8th, so 8/8, the idea is that we want to create some kind of like digital conference stroke digital festival over that weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We want to include definitely all of you guys, but in addition to that, see if we can get the lady that produced Out of Shadows, a few other guest speakers, whichever guests we can get in. Now, the other gentleman who could have been here today, but I figured I'll bring him in on the next one, is Sean Stone. Anyone who's not aware, he is Oliver Stone's son, and Oliver Stone wrote Scarface and has produced lots of huge Hollywood movies, but he also made a lot of the conspiracy movies. So when you look up Oliver Stone made a lot of the big conspiracy movies that were like multi-billion or $1 million, I don't know the right numbers, but big stuff. Laura could probably explain it better. But Sean Stone has, over his career, like, he was someone else who I came up on. If you go to Enter the Buzzsaw, and I recommend both you guys write this down, Enter the Buzzsaw. If you have a look at his body of work on YouTube from Enter the Buzzsaw, this guy for over the last 5 years has been doing shows about everything that we've been talking about today. Now, he has expressed an interest in interviewing you, Pharaoh, in interviewing you, Tony X, in interviewing Simon. He's previously interviewed Laura, so Laura and him already have an established relationship. And then in addition to that, this is just some other things that I wanted to bring up, was that some of the people from QAnon have been making contact with me. I don't know too much yet, but they have some help they want to put towards your YouTube, towards the class action YouTube that they have, or something like that. And Sean Stone's also in contact with them. So you see, like, this is the next level, is bringing Sean Stone in and, you know, being able to just integrate all of this together. And this is just, again, true leaders, true people who literally, this has been their life's path. And I think that's how we're able to recognize each other.
That's right. And before the other two, you know, beautiful guests who have been waiting so patiently that I even forgot they were here. Before you guys jump in, I want to say this. Tony, I don't believe I'm following you on social media. I look for you. I didn't see you. I might have typed it wrong. But
MONTAGA.
That's on Instagram?
Yep. And that's on Twitter too.
Okay, say it one more time.
MONTAGA.
MONTAGA, and I found you. Okay, boom. So I just followed you. I'm shooting you a DM now, and I asked that everybody on here follow me on Instagram, Pharaoh_Otten. Twitter is Pharaoh_Otten_. And what I wanted to say is, Amelia, I want to tell you I appreciate you divinely for putting this together. And you know, I'm going to be with you all the way to the end of this road. And what I want to say right now is so everybody can understand how I operate. I don't know if it's the Virgo in me. I don't know if it's just how my mind works. But for everybody that I'm about to contact right now, if it seems like we're interacting with each other and then I go MIA for like a day or two, I do not want anybody to take it personally. I do that. Yeah, I do. Right. I do that to people that I'm literally around in real life. And so what
my best friends are my brothers for weeks. So I'm just
right. Yeah, so I want people to know that that's how I work. I can't really explain how my mind goes, but I give myself days where I say, okay, let me chill these 2 days and just be with my family. And then I tell myself for the next 3 days, I'm going for broke. So if I text you, if the conversation volume is high, most likely you caught me on my mental rest days. If you hit me and I either don't respond, I probably didn't see it. But if I'm responding late, I'm basically in the laboratory. And so as far as my with everything that's on my imaginary desk, aside from building with you guys, aside from creating, tangible incorporated companies that will be of aid and assistance not only to revolutionary minds but citizens, to bring jobs to communities that may have been devastated through the riots, or people just need jobs, period. I'm still educating myself and still furthering myself, creating PowerPoints for a subject matter that was outside the political realm. So just so everybody understands, me, because I don't want y'all to be like, damn, I hit Pharaoh and he always responded back an hour late or whatever. On my platform, it was not initially a political platform. My platform was just like an investigative historical platform. But I've been researching Freemasonry and the Illuminati since day one, because that's kind of like the first thing you learn about when you become conscious. If you don't, I don't really know, what you was reading. But outside of that, yeah. So, I followed the trail of the Illuminati to the Democratic Party, and that's how I came and got here. So I don't want people to think that I'm even a political channel. My channel is about, like my next lecture is going to be anthropological and genetic proof of giants. So like, this is the type of stuff I do. I prove that myths are real, and I prove that what you think is real is a myth. So I'm like a conspiracy theorist that actually proves conspiracy theories with history and genetics. So that takes a lot of research. And there's times when I literally I've had 3-4 books open at one time because I'm debating each page. So what I do is I get books, I background check the author, see if they was full of shit, see if they had any biases. I take the meat, spit out the bones, and I break everything down to the point to where when I give it to the public, it's not no debating it. And so I found myself in the political realm because that is where my journey of researching these elites have led me. And I want people to know, if you hit me up and I don't respond immediately, 9 times out of 10, I probably didn't even see it. But if I do see it, I will respond. And I don't want anybody to ever feel like I'm ghosting them or anything, because I'm not. And I feel like that's important for me to give y'all that aspect of myself, because I wouldn't want anybody to be hitting me up and then be like, this guy gave me his contact and he's MIA, or the conversations are shit. That's just kind of how my life goes. I'm literally juggling like 5 things. And then I fight at the same time of that. So I'm gonna have to be training and stand and fight shit.
I think they understand, and also, that's what makes this different as well, is because again, Simon, same thing. Simon's juggling 10,000 things, and I know Laura is too. My first meeting with Laura, she had to reschedule, and my meeting with Simon was rescheduled twice before we first actually got to speak. So don't worry. I think we all understand, and the key thing is recognizing that there are other leaders around, that we can actually support each other now, and we become stronger by having each other. And it's like our superpower has been the fact that we don't need anyone and we do it all by ourselves. But actually now at this very pinnacle time, it's time for the true leaders that have risen to the top, to the surface of the water, and you can see them clearly, and their hearts and their minds and their actions are all in place. It is time for us to unite, because again, people talk about humans uniting. Well, I'm being told very clearly that the unity starts with us. It starts with the wisest souls. The wisest souls unifying. When you're on a on a YouTube interview with Simon, when you're being seen on a roundtable with Laura and Simon and with Tony X, you see what we're representing to the world. We are representing. This is about great minds coming together. And so I just think that this is really key. I'm just so, so glad that we did this today. Preston, did you want to just mention a little bit about where we're at with the Freedom Project so far? All I'm going to ask of you guys is just to write on your calendar 8/8 weekend that we're going to do a basically red pill the planet. That's the plan. So we're going to need you. You know what I mean? But Preston?
Yeah, so a little bit about my background. I've been in the music industry for about 20 years. We throw festivals and events on the island. I'm in the island of Maui. I do healing centers. We have CBD hemp farms. We've been in holistic in the cannabis industry for about 15 years now. Since I've been out here, we've been doing a lot of virtual festivals. I'm a part of another entity in Arizona where we have Arizona Hip Hop Day proclamated by the mayor and the governor of Arizona. So we've been working with virtual festivals and virtual shows that we've been trying to put on. So I believe with music, as far as bringing people together, I believe Woodstock was created, and it's the only thing that really binds everything through race, religion, background. It doesn't matter, language, anything. It's the language of love. It's music, binary frequencies, so on and so forth. So that was kind of how I got into throwing festivals. I believed it was the way to bring everyone together. And what brought me out to Maui is I ended up losing my daughter and my wife and all kinds of crazy shit. And I had to go and dig deep and really heal the hard way. No books were involved in this. Like, I dug deep and I had to go to the dark part in order to come out and see the light. So that's kind of how I got here. And with throwing this event and this festival that we got going on, the idea was throw a virtual festival, bring a panel of people. It would be perfect if we could really bring people together and actually get like a gathering, because I believe we're not going to have the same kind of interaction or energy as if we're all sitting together at a round table, really sharing a meal, like kind of like the first supper, last supper type stuff. So, you know, that's kind of how I threw it out there, was to try to get everybody in one room, even if it's just the 6 of us in one room, whether it's Arizona, you guys come to Hawaii, I already have a property out here. We do a lot of light work and a lot of healing.
To come to Hawaii.
Yeah, right. And we actually, I got studios out here too. We do a lot.
Preston, the other thing that we were saying was maybe having like a worldwide day Friday, a New York day Saturday, and a LA day Sunday. That way all the New York people would just only have to get to one place in New York as an option as well. We're still figuring it out. That's basically what we're saying, but carry on, darling.
Yeah, if we could find just one common spot, it doesn't matter. I mean, as long as we can figure out how to get together, there's really only 6 or 7 of us that really need to be in one room. Everything else is, if we can imagine if Woodstock could have had a VR experience and it could be broadcast to everyone in the world, how much unity that would bring, you know? So if we can create something like that, where we can create an experience where we bring music, culture, love, arts, knowledge, and all encompass it in a weekend where it's like almost like a gathering. And I think it would be huge. So yeah, that's kind of how we got here.
That's what we got so far. Literally, we got the name Freedom Project, spelled D-U-M-B, Freedom, to free the dumb, and then the slogan is Red Pill the Planet. But then obviously, again, having the key people like yourselves, Sean Stone, and actually being able to reach out to other people that are, you know, influencers and things like that, that are on the same page as us, so that we can actually create something where we literally red pill the planet and solve some of the problems. And obviously we can have, like, you know, a panel session, we can have a King's panel session, we can have a Divine Feminines one, we can have, like, you know, David Sebastian maybe performing some records or whatever, you know, these sort of things. So this only came up on our live together last week, and since then we're sort of looking at maybe getting a logo together and things. So we're just really interested in your input into this, because we feel that this is something that we can do, it's doable, and we just need to have all the right, you know, the right people in place, and we can do it. But you can tell he is definitely the man to help organize this, because this is what he just does on a daily basis.
Yeah, this music stuff, I mean, I've been doing it forever. I've managed artists, I've been on big platforms. I've been, you know, talking about binary frequencies and frequency conspiracies. Daylight, I'm sure you've heard of Daylight, Pharaoh, you know, being in the rap game and stuff. But That was my brother for a minute. That was my running mate. I helped him make the transition from battle rap, and you kind of see where he's at right now and what he's been doing. So, you know, I've really been about this life, and I believe that there's a way that we can do something where we put music and we put information into the ears and eyes of people, where it'll be like, damn, that could be. I want to create the new Woodstock. If that's really what it is, you know, as far as the panels and stuff, that's good filler. But I believe at the end of the day, you know, taking out the Illuminati and putting that real good music, like, we don't have any good music anymore. You know, the music that we grew up listening to, that brought us together, the UNITYs, the Public Enemies, the Pops, the real conscious hip hop, when they started really dumbing it down, and when Jimmy Iovine bought everything, and you could just see when they conglomerated and they took over the industry. I think there's a shit ton of artists out there that feel the exact same way we do, and if we can get those like minds together and put that king's knowledge out there with the music, that shit gonna hit. It's gonna resonate, and it's gonna feel different.
Yeah,
Right.
and I just feel like this is like me and his sort of project that we can be working on while you guys are sort of, you know, doing yours. What were your thoughts, Pharaoh? I know you were just going to say something.
No, I'm not. I just want to say, I think that's a beautiful idea. I love what I'm hearing in regards to that, and this is why people got to realize a whole is made up of individual parts. A hand is made up of multiple fingers, and so, you know, everybody must do their part from not even the same lane, but multiple lanes, because that is how we get everything done at the same time. Because that's what these people are doing. They aren't just, you know, making GMOs. They're poisoning the air. They're knocking down rainforests. They're creating crazy. So they're in 50,000 different lanes. So now we got to get in 50,000 different lanes. And I totally agree with that. And as far as the events that you guys are looking to do, you know, we can, you know, everybody can get my social media, so we can exchange them, you know, after this, however. But before I get ready to slide in, like, maybe the next 5 or 10 minutes, we got to definitely have certain conversations off the camera, because when you guys come, you know, I don't want to hijack anybody's event. That's not my intention. But if I can, you know, share it, you know what I'm saying? If I can talk about it and help you guys promo whatever any of you guys got going on, I will, you know, gladly do so, and I'm more than happy to do so. So when you guys do, you know, decide to, you know, launch your events, just let me know. Even if it's just something as simple as sharing a flyer a couple times, I have no problem doing that.
Absolutely, thank you. So what I was just guided to do is let June just say hello, so everyone just can hear her voice. Just because, and like I said, she's here to assist me. And then what I'll do is we'll stop recording, and we'll just have 5-10 minutes off record. Anything else you want to do before we wrap up? Does that sound good, guys?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, June, do you want to just say hello?
All right. Hello, everybody. This has been so awesome. Thank you all for being here. I just want to share about a little bit about what I do. So I've been helping Amelia, and what we do is help divine feminines for the most part. And a lot of us are interested in healing centers. So from, I was trying to talk to Preston earlier and say, in the Matrix, I work in finance and marketing, but aside from that, I've been working a lot with activating my DNA. And that's something I'd like to be more informed on and help other women in our community and people around the world. Because like we've all talked about, they've poisoned our food, water, air, everything. And if we could understand how to activate this junk DNA and heal ourselves, this is going to create a huge impact. And a part of that is also information. I do think getting this information out to people will help them activate that. But aside from that, if there's anything we can do, how to activate our plasma bodies, how to remove distortions, reversals, all of that is what I'm working on now and what I'd like to share with our communities in the future.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, my darling. Isn't she just so beautiful as well? Like, literally, I don't know where she came from.
Thank you.
She like
this planet.
I don't know where she came from, really. She's an angel.
This is the Empress Evolution.